On Friday, I set out once again to get a God-rolled Messenger Adept from the Trials of Osiris, since I had yet to get one with the Origin perks, and it seemed silly to continue hanging on to one without those extra free buffs if I could do otherwise. And I got pretty lucky. I got 2 incredible rolls this weekend while playing Trials with legends like Frostbolt, Benny Schmurda, and Fallout. One of them is a desperado roll, and the other one is the one that you'll see in this video with kill clip and rapid hit. In just 2 short sessions with this messenger, I was able to rack up over 500 kills and half a dozen Weerans in Control, Clash, and Trials. This weapon is a motherfudgin' powerhouse of a gun. But I took it a step further, and I said, you know what? I'm getting a whole lot of precision kills with the Messenger just because of the nature of the gun, right? The stability is off the charts, the range is incredible, and with my reload masterwork on top of rapid hit and one quiet moment, I'm reloading this thing at lightning speeds, which is helping me chain kills even more. But what if I added huge friggin' explosions into the mix? And so I tossed on the Chromatic Fire chest piece for the Warlock, and the results were, as you may have gathered, explosive indeed. In this gameplay, you're going to see just dozens of free kills. Kills where I did literally nothing, no damage to a second player at all. All I did was secure my kill in a duel against one opponent, and then they blow up, dealing over 200 damage in a large radius around them. And some unfortunate sab happened to be in that area and gets completely destroyed by it. Sometimes more than one. And sometimes an opponent isn't quite close enough to really die from that explosion, but they are close enough to take some damage. And that makes them, just one burst kill for me. If I've got kill clip up from the first guy that I killed, I killed the guy with a headshot, I reload the gun, I've got kill clip now. While I was reloading the gun, the guy I killed blew up, and he damaged somebody nearby who's about to challenge me. Now, they don't have full health. And this isn't like some hypothetical scenario that rarely happens. No, this is the kind of thing that happens again and again. And you're going to see, it's just chocked full of clips like that in this gameplay. People group up on zones. They group up in lanes. They group up in doorways, spawn locations. You are shoulder to shoulder with teammates a lot in this game. And when you play with a Chromatic Fire, or when you play against a Cloud Strike, right, you're much more painfully aware of that fact, aren't you? There's also a lot of value in adding another threat that your opponent has to be mindful of. A person's brain, think of it this way, a person's brain in combat, it basically has a set amount of bandwidth, okay? It's got a set amount of bandwidth. The best players, whether they're aware of it or not, are the players that can sort of overload their opponent's processing power and force their opponent to try to be overwhelmed by lots of different stimuli, making it harder for them to make well-informed decisions in the moment, okay? When I play with the Chromatic Fire, and I start getting an occasional explosion free kill, right? Now, every time a player enters into a duel with me, they're trying to also make sure in the heat of combat that they aren't too close to a teammate. Or maybe they see, a teammate taking fire, they can hear my messenger, dishing out shots. So they delay pushing the corner to help their teammate because they're afraid that their teammate might die as they get there and blow up and detonate and kill them too. So it just adds this other layer of a mental game. And before you start to argue that this mental component doesn't really factor in, just ask yourself, how often do you make mental notes in matches of potential threats? After one engagement with a certain individual, I take note if they have a worm husk equipped, because that affects my future fights. I take note if they have a fusion rifle or a chaperone. I take note after one engagement with someone if they're running a bow and a hard-hitting hand cannon for that annoying swap and pop playstyle. I take note of all of these various threats after my initial engagement with them. And throughout the match, I'm starting to learn how each of my opponents is playing. And I start to modify my approach to duels based on what I know about the opponent. This is something that almost all of us do to one degree or another. Some of us better than others, but we all do it to some degree or another. Now, looping back to kill clip, it's staggering to me that so many people still hold firmly to the belief that Desperado is the only perk worth having in the second slot on the Messenger, and that everything else is an auto dismantle. With kill clip active, Messenger deals 141 damage per burst. That is a ton of damage. If your opponent has taken basically any damage on top of that, they are probably toast at that point. If they got hit by a grenade, or if they got hit by the AoE of the chromatic explosion, right? Let's circle back to that scenario that I set up earlier in the video, where I'm in a duel with somebody, I get the kill with a precision hit, and I go to reload my gun. While I'm reloading the gun, that guy blows up, and he does some AoE damage to a teammate that's about to step into that lane and challenge me. And let's say they took 60 damage. They were on the outskirts of that explosion, so they took 60 damage. Now when they step into that lane, one burst is all I need. 141 damage to the head, and they are toast. That is a ton of damage. Otherwise, if they step into the duel with full health, now you don't even have to be all that accurate. You can land almost all body shots with one precision hit mixed in and put them down. The amount of forgiveness built into the gun when kill clip is active is too good to be ignored. A lot of people say kill clip isn't worth running because it doesn't change the optimal TTK, which isn't entirely true. It does shave off just minor fractions of a second because of the number of bullets required. So it can actually have an effect on your bottom line TTK. But one thing that people seem to ignore is the fact that you don't hit every shot yellow. You just don't. Regardless of how good you think you are, unless you are hacking or cheating, you are not hitting only precision hits in your duels. Sometimes you get flinched off target, so part of your burst misses. 2 bullets just hit. If kill clip wasn't up, that's a death sentence a lot of times. But when kill clip is up, it's not. There's a lot of built-in forgiveness with kill clip active. So you're able to come out on top of many more engagements just because kill clip is active. Even though on paper, it doesn't really ultimately change your optimal TTK like Desperado might. But Desperado runs into the same problems. If it flinches off of target, your damage output is still the same per bullet, so you still have to go in for a follow-up burst. Now, you may get that burst faster, sure. Desperado's nuts, don't get me wrong, but it's also not as conservative on ammo consumption. You may have infinite ammo in your reserves, but if you don't continue to get headshot kills, then your reload speed is a factor that you have to consider. And on top of that, you're chewing through your ammo much more quickly, so you do have to reload more frequently. So with kill clip up, you can get more kills before reloading than you can with Desperado. Now, lots of warlocks are dead set on using only Ophidian aspects or transversive steps. But when using a weapon like the Messenger as your primary weapon, I don't think these things are nearly as useful as other options like Chromatic Fire. If you play your cards right, you can end up with 75% of your kills being the pulse rifle at the end of the match, and only a quarter of them being your close quarters weapon, or something like that, right? There's this stereotype in Destiny that the only respectable skill in the game is proficiency in close quarters engagements, right? If you frag out in a match while using a scout rifle or a pulse rifle, people will often throw shade at that, calling you a camper, right? You could even be rotating around the map the entire match from zone to zone, lane to lane, and they're still going to call you a camper just because you managed to keep your opponent at arm's length with good movement and lane control with the weapon that you have equipped. Disregard all of that bullcrap. Take that stereotype, it's deeply seated somewhere in your brain, uproot it, throw it in the trash. It's a different kind of skill, but it is skill nonetheless to be able to have that level of control over your opponent's movement and their ability to freely move through lanes. If you can restrict that, make them think twice before sprinting into open lanes and running up on zones heavy or your teammates, then your gameplay is commendable. You've played to the strengths of your kit and kept your opponents from getting into positions where their kit is stronger. So that being said, exotic armor that helps you reload a gun faster or ready it more quickly is great for fast-paced, close quarters fights. But if you're oppressing a team with lane control and mid to long range superiority, then those exotics have diminishing returns. An exotic armor piece like Chromatic Fire is going to get you a lot more mileage. It adds another layer of control. You can cause more damage in your lane for free, delaying aggressive opponents from pushing. You can send an extra person back to the respawn screen from time to time for the price of one kill. When people start to open their minds to new possibilities, new and rewarding playstyles are right there for them to enjoy. Now, I want to be clear, Desperado is an incredible perk. I don't think that kill clip is always, under all circumstances, the better play, but I do believe that it is sometimes, under certain conditions, the better play. And for this particular build and playstyle, I'll take kill clip every time. So, what do you think about all this? Did you enjoy the gameplay and the playstyles and the big booms? Or does this playstyle not really vibe with you? Do you see merit to playstyles and builds that run contrary to your own? Or do you have a personal set of beliefs in this video game that makes you respect and revere one playstyle above all others? Let me know down in the comments section, and thanks so much for watching the video. Feel free to leave a like in the video only if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for additional Destiny 2 content. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible.